So we are live. So good morning here from the UK, and thank you very much for following our pages. So I'm Dr. Suzie Jacob, the face behind my page, and welcome. For those who don't know me yet, I am a general practitioner here in the UK. I live with my husband, who's a chef, and my teenage daughter. And today we have a couple of guests, a husband and a wife, doing the business. As you know, I'm a very proud digital business owner. So are my friends here today. So without further ado, I am just going to open the floor to you, Elina and Lijo. Hello, how are you doing? You all right?
Good, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm
Hi.
having a bit of a croaky. It's been now 12 days.
Oh gosh.
I know the perks of getting older. Don't get old. That's all I'll say. I'll
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Hi, I'm Elina, and I am an A&E doctor. I'm from Kerala, India. Grew up in Dubai, and then moved to the UK a few years ago. And this is
Yeah, I'm Lijo. And again, like Elena, I grew up in Bahrain and basically from Kerala. And we've moved to the UK 2 years ago and settled here for now.
yeah, and we have a 2-year-old son who is keeping us on our toes all the time. So that's a bit of who we are, and we are proud digital business owners.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. I remember those days. I think when my daughter was also two, I was doing about 18 months I've done A&E actually. So yeah, which is not a fun thing. I had done 16 nights and no, it's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Back to
sustainable
COVID.
in the long run, I can
No,
say. No,
no,
not at all
no.
sustainable in the long run. Yes, because I remember coming back home and I had either my mom or my nanny, and I remember once coming back home and she's coming to me, Mama, it's more, and after night shift, Mama, it's morning. What are you sleeping? And I'm like, go away. I want to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's
Yes.
something similar, isn't it? Why are you
Yeah.
sleeping?
Yeah. Yesterday, while I was on night as well, my son was calling me in the middle saying, Mama, come back home. Come back home. What are you doing outside? But yeah, perks
I
of the
know
job.
it's all fun and great games. I love the adrenaline, but I don't think I can do that again. I'll stick
Fair
to
enough.
being a general practitioner.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not a doctor. I'm in the IT space, so I work um, in building softwares for a big retail company here in the UK. So quite very different from the long hours.
yeah.
Not
So
that I
you
don't
do
have
a
long
nine to
hours, but
five, is it like a 9 to 5
yes,
sort of
yeah,
thing?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
But do
yeah.
you finish
Pretty
at
much.
5? That's the big question.
Thankfully, so far, yes, I have been
Oh
able to
wow,
finish
that's
at
good.
5,
That's
which
excellent.
is, yeah, yeah,
Big blessing.
it's a big blessing actually. So very
But I
grateful
guess
for
because
that. Yeah.
Elena is because Elena is actually doing all the nights and things like that, it's
Yeah.
a bit hard, isn't it, if you
Yeah.
weren't back home in time, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, right. So the biggest question, well, I'm sure people are asking you, and people always ask me, is why did you both got good jobs, I've got a good job. So why did you actually venture into the online space?
Yeah. And I can start. So I think for us, the biggest challenge that we're finding now, again, going back to a bit to what you were saying, is that we are struggling to sort of find time together as a family to spend with our son or to do things together because of the odd hours at work or the long, the shifts that go out of control, and then you end up staying longer than you expect, and then your plans sort of fumble with that. So um, just trying to find a balance in family life is one of the reasons why we sort of ventured into what can we do as a something on the side that uh, we can dedicate our time and get that going.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
For many of you might already know, but like a couple of months ago, I had like an injury of my eye, and that was like a very defining point in our lives. Where literally the ground shook beneath us, and we know that as Christians, God takes us through every moment in our life for a purpose. And that really taught us that we needed to secure our future. And the Bible is very clear on how God gives us wisdom, God gives us discretion to use the money, the resources, the gifts, the talents that He has given us, and to use it wisely to sustain ourselves, but also for His glory. And it was at that point where we realized, okay, if I am not well, if I can't earn my income, there is a lot of stress on the partner, on the husband, on the son. And we wanted to be wise with the income that God had given us and invest it profitably and fruitfully, in a way that it would secure our future, but also give us avenues to be helpful to other people, to free us up to help people in church, in ministry. And that was, one of the guiding principles behind why we started it, just to get
Yeah.
that ability.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's absolutely right. What I always say is you can't serve from an empty cup. So you need to be your cup. Even God says, like, your heart, He will, bless us with overflowing blessings so that our cup runs over. And that's what the Bible says. He will bless us, and He wants our cup to run over so that we can be a blessing to others. So if you're not having the time to actually, or the finances, for me, my breaking point was during COVID. My husband was actually moving jobs, but the week he was moving the job, lockdown started. And during that time, people who couldn't go into work because of lockdown were part of a furlough scheme. Unfortunately, my husband, resigned from his previous job, didn't yet start his new job. So we weren't entitled to that. So it was just one person's income. And then I had to do extra shifts, which was, by the grace of God, it was good. There were things available I could do. But, that was a stress and strain to me. I was seeing people face to face. There was lots of scare about Black men and Asian men dying. So imagine my stress, bringing it back home, probably infecting my husband. And, I think I would not have forgiven myself. It'll be always in the back of your mind. If your partner, your spouse gets in, something happens, God forbid, to them because of something you did. I don't think I could have. I don't think I could have come out of that. But anyway, thankfully we were all well, and But that was and then again something similar to you. It was during that time, because I was doing all the extra shifts. I had also sudden loss of eyesight around that time. I still remember, it was October 2020. It was after working 16 days continuously. And then morning I got up and I couldn't see. Then I just called in work and said, I can't see. And it was not even funny. I couldn't see. And I said, I can't come in for work. And it was a scary experience. I couldn't see for about 7 hours, really. And then I went into A&E. They sent me to another clinic, did all the scans, back of the eye, MRI and all. And by 7 hours, I got my sight back. But it was a very scary experience. Once I was thinking back, oh my God, my husband's not working. Who's going to pay the bill? If I don't work, I don't get paid. Am I going to lose the house? You get all these things in the back of your head when that happens. And for me, it was like, no, I can't be relying only on my job. I had lots of opportunity to work, so we were comfortable. None of our mortgages bounced. We were comfortable, we had no problems during COVID, by the grace of God. But that was at the expense of my health. My mental health. And I still remember in November when once, I went back to work, and it was a half day I was working at work. And that day they said, oh, Dr. Jacob, you have 5 death certificates to do that day in 4 hours. And 2 of them were coroner cases. So, you had to discuss with the coroner and things like that. I just came back home and I just started crying. I think, Elina, you can kind of relate with me. Sometimes people can't understand what's the big deal of doing 5 death certificates. And as a general practitioner, these are people I know. These are people I've gone to their homes, treated them, and night I could even hear their voice. Oh, Dr. Jacob, how are you? We used to have a rapport and a communication with them, and that affected me. And I was like, if I were able to, I wanted some time out But at that time, I couldn't afford the time out
Yep.
because I needed to pay the mortgage. So I had to have a brave face, go back to work. My husband was, he's a man of God, and he just prayed for me. And at that point of time, I was meeting up with other Christians on the weekends, and we were having Bible studies and things like that. I think that was, that was my saving grace. It was the weekly Bible studies and my husband's prayers. My mom and dad didn't know about all this. I didn't want to worry them. And I think this is the first time I'm actually telling it properly out in public. But that's how I felt. And I knew at that point it was unwise to rely on one stream of income. And the Bible clearly even tells in Ecclesiastes that, you should have, seven, no, even up to 8 ventures that, that you need to do, because you don't know which one will be actually fruitful. So it says, and I was like, the Bible says that, so why shouldn't I have an extra stream of income? And that's how I started to actually do all that, started looking out for things. And I've done a few businesses before this current business, but of course, this is the one that's been most profitable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, just to add on there, of how God sometimes takes us through difficult patches in life, but then he shows us a door that we walk through, and that changes our life forever. And that might not have happened if we hadn't gone through that valley, so
yeah, absolutely. And because a couple of things, one of the jobs, I work for a normal practice, the other one is for a company, and I was doing a bit of management work for the company. I'm still doing management work for the same company, but at that point when they had a rough patch financially, so then one day they had a meeting and said, you guys are not going to have your jobs now. So it was one thing after another, and I was like, I can't have this, because you can be, in management, and they can say that we're not financially doing well, we have to cut down some. And now, being in that company and being in business, I understand, because at the end of the day, a business has to be profitable for them to pay the employees, and they sometimes have to reshuffle things, and because otherwise the company will go into bankruptcy. But when you are on the other end, and when you have no business or no kind of outview to life, you'll be like, they are cruel, they've just laid me off, I've worked in this company, I've put my sweat and blood into this for years. And I felt that way at the moment also, when they said that you're not going to have your job, and the management aspect. So what they said is, you can do more of your clinical. And imagine doing 10, there was a point I was working 6 days a week with management. So I physically wouldn't be able to do 6 days of clinical shift. And I was like, there's no way I can do that. And, you would only think, now looking back, being in business, I understand why people do that. And that's all the reasons why I thought about, no, I need to do something. And then here I am, years later, and very successful. The business has been a blessing to me. My husband's actually quit his job a few months ago, because he does online ministry, my husband. So now he's just focusing on ministry, helping people that way. And we have a big vision when it comes to ministry and things like that, and orphanages and things like that. We have a big vision. So he's more focused on. And why am I able to focus on that? Is because I'm getting money through the business, and I have been able to cut down. I work only now equivalent to 4. I do it over 5 days, but I do work equivalent to 4 days at the moment, and that's amazing. But as Christian business owners, like before, if you've had no kind of experience in business, I think what I have struggled with scarcity mindset. And, because we think like God says you have to leave everything behind and follow me completely. You can't be thinking of money. You can't serve two masters. You can't serve Mammon and God. You can only serve one thing. So did you have any struggles when it came to that? Because I definitely had, because
Mhm.
as a doctor, because I feel if I think about money, I'm not a good doctor. I
Yeah.
had that mindset. I don't know about you. And as a Christian, thinking about money, talking about money initially was challenging, because I was like, am I contradicting my faith here? Like, why
Yeah.
am, if you look at my page, I'm talking about the business, I'm talking about money, and I'm like, am I contradicting my faith here? Because um so how I can share mine, but I'd like to know what your thoughts were, whether you had such thoughts, and what your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, no, very similar to what you were saying. There's this general thing that as Christians, you're not supposed to think of money. Love of money is a bad thing, but it's love of money. It's not. Well, sorry, they say money is a bad thing, but it's not money that's the bad thing. It's the love of money. That's the root of all evil. And so there's a very big difference between loving money and putting that as your number one priority versus earning money and using that money for things that you're called to use it for. So yes, we had the same thing about how do we refocus what our understanding about what money was, how much is too much money, what is the line between wanting money and being greedy, and how do we look at all of this within the light of scripture. And I think we had to do a little bit of a reflection and relearning of what we thought our Christian lives in terms of, as you said, simple pavam, don't aim for too high, just your home is not here, build up your treasures in heaven. All true, and it's all there, but God gives us these resources to use them. And I truly believe that God also gives us resources to be a blessing to others, but also to bless yourselves. I believe God cares for us and likes us to enjoy things in this life. And so, yes, enjoy the moments, enjoy the eating out, enjoy the vacations that you have. I think that's all God's good blessings on us. And,
Yeah.
um,
And the Bible's also very hard on stewardship as a Christian value. Like, what's your accountability to what God has blessed you with? God also gives you resources, but before He gives you the resources, He gives you the wisdom to think whether this is what I need to do. Is this where I need to invest my money? Is this how I need to spend my money? Like, God also gives you the wisdom in that regard. So when we took this step of joining this business, the one principle that we kept, I think, at the back of our minds, irrespective of everything, and that holds true even with our work, is that you work as if you're working for the Lord and not working for man. And that's what we understand. Like, we read in Colossians, and the principle behind it is giving it your best, not because of only keeping money inside, but giving it your best because you're doing it for someone above you. You're not doing it for yourselves. You're not doing it to please people, but you're doing it ultimately to please God. And so that's where you bring in ethics. What are your values? Are you paying your taxes appropriately? Are you spending your time wisely? Like, all of this again ties back to, you're not doing it for yourself. Like, you're doing it because you're accountable to God, who has entrusted this to you with.
and just piggybacking on the time wisely thing, I find myself guilty of spending hours scrolling through social media, like wasting my time on social media. And at some point, it hit me like, this is money, or time rather, that I can effectively use profitably for something else, whether it's investing into this business. And I don't think my skill set is best used, or God can use me best if I'm just, watching videos after videos mindlessly. And so that's something that you invest in, you learn, you change your mentalities, and you change your life in some sense, to do what's right sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think for me, the actual breakthrough came when I read in Deuteronomy. I believe it's Deuteronomy 8. It says, remember the Lord your God who gives you power to get wealth so
Mm,
that he can establish his covenant.
mm, mm,
So, that was like mind blowing for me. So, for me, it's like God says He's the one who gives you power to get wealth. He wants you to get wealth. He wants you to be prosper and in good health. He wants you. Those are all the promises of God. But I think the heart of God is he's doing that so that his covenant can be established. His work on earth can be fruitful. Giving to orphanages, helping a village in Africa get water, good water supply, or even talking about the love of Jesus. All these things cost money,
Yeah.
isn't it? So, and God gives his children the money because he wants his word to be established, his kingdom to be established. And I think if your heart is that,
Yeah.
I think then there's no problem with money, because we are not loving the money. Money is just the vehicle.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is the verse that actually made me think, well, I'm doing this for God, because God's going to give me the money so that I don't have to worry about my bills. I
Mm.
can do a bit of self-care, have the
Yeah.
vacation, spend the time with be present for my daughter and my husband, have that fellowship. At the same time, then, we have enough and more so that I can be a blessing to people who are hurting.
Yeah.
The beauty for me at the moment is, because I've cut down my sessions, I'm more present for my patients. Like I am there, and it's a different thing when you will go to work so that you can pay your bills, and you go to
Yeah.
work because you want to help someone who's hurting. It's a big difference.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm enjoying at the moment, and I love it.
Oh,
And
that's really nice. Yeah.
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 So thank you, guys. We've about 20 minutes in now. So thank you so much for coming. I think we shared a lot of, mindset. I hope a lot of people today have their mindset busted from their scarcity mindset, and understand why we are doing as Christian entrepreneurs, Christian business people. It's not a sin to have the money. It's only how you use it and where your heart is. That's what's the crux of the issue here is. And as long as all that is fine, all is well. So thank you so much for joining in today. 10 o'clock. I know my daughter is still sleeping, so some people might be sleeping at this time, because this is some people have their time off, isn't it, weekends,
Yeah.
rather than getting early in the morning. So thank you so much for coming in, and thank you so much, Elina. I know you've come after a night shift and you're awake.
I'm awake.
You're still
No, thank you
awake,
so much. Thank you so much for
with all
having
your
us.
energy and enthusiasm. God bless. And just before we conclude, if anyone wants to know more about the business and how it's changed lives, it doesn't cost you to know anything. So reach out to either Elina, Lijo, or myself. We'll be more than happy to guide you through the process. So wherever you see this video, just tune in, send us a message, and we'll be happy to help you all. So God bless you all, and have a lovely rest of the weekend.
Thank
God bless.
you.
Thank you. You too.
Take
Bye.
care.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.